everyone. Robert Ferringo of Doc Sports here with you once again with Nolan Patrick of Strike Point Sports. You can find both of us at docsports.com. Be sure to click the link down in the description and take advantage of the $60 free that we are offering you at Doc Sports to be used towards any handicapper in any sport for any package that you would like. So, all right, Nolan, Monday, we have moved on. We have closed the book on the first round of the NBA playoffs. Any lingering thoughts from the first round or any of the action that you saw this past weekend?
I mean, I would like to toot my own horn because at the beginning of last video, you asked me which one of those underdogs was going to win outright. And I believe I said that Miami, as an 11.5-point dog, was going to win that game outright. So, two.
Listen, you deserve it. If you call an outright underdog win for a double-digit underdog in the playoffs, yeah, you absolutely deserve that. And you know that I hate to give you credit for anything.
Yeah, oh yeah,
anything
absolutely.
Else jump out at you over the weekend, either from Game 1 of the Miami-New York series, which actually we'll get to that in a minute. How about that Sacramento-Golden State series? Anything jump out to you about how that ended up?
I mean, just first of all, absolutely ridiculous what Steph Curry did. The guy goes off for 50 points. I didn't go on a side in that game. I actually hit a 4-unit total winner in that game because it's almost to the point in my, gambling career, whether it's I'm releasing a play or just going and betting on a game myself, I almost blindly bet the under in any game 7 of any sport ever. I don't care what it is. I'm taking the under. I'm not looking at trends. I'm not looking at lines. I'm taking an under. And I mean, Curry went off for 50 and it still went under the posted total.
That's really interesting you say that because I know for a fact that Arun Shiva, another handicapper at Doc Sports for a long, long time, that was his angle, was to bet the over in Game 7. Yeah, I couldn't believe it either because just naturally I assumed what you thought was true, right? This is right. Game 7. Everyone's going to play a little tight, a little closer. A lot of those elimination games are won more by the team that doesn't make the mistake rather than someone just playing excessively well. But for like a decade there, that guy would release 7-unit plays on Game 7 overs. I'm just like, what the hell is he thinking? And it hit an awful lot to the point where it completely changed my mindset, where I was leaning on the over in that game on Sunday, didn't release it just because it's been such an under-heavy NBA playoffs. Right. But yeah, conflicting styles. So, all right. But I want to talk about Tuesday's games because we are recording this Monday. So we're going to kind of work backwards. We're going to talk about Tuesday's games to give this a little bit more shelf life. And then we're going to work backwards and talk about Monday's games. Now, Miami at New York, they played Game 1 yesterday. You're a big Knicks fan. Know you were very excited about that series. Couldn't have been excited that Julius Randle could not play in that game. And his kind of checkered postseason experience is, new chapters being written there. What did you see in that Game 1 that you think will be a theme or a tone throughout how we bet that series?
Well, obviously, it's going to be super interesting to call it ankle fest. You have Julius Randle and his ankle, and now Jimmy Butler hurt his ankle. So obviously, you have to see what's going to happen with those two superstars. Jimmy Butler is an absolute monster in the playoffs. Julius Randle is not. Anybody that watched that game saw Obi Toppin, go off for 7 or 9 points in the first quarter. What it boils down to is in the first half of that game, the Knicks dominated inside the paint. And I don't mean post touches. I mean penetrating to the basket, getting little baskets in that area, offensive rebounding, doing the little thing. They outscored the Heat 40-20 in the paint in the first half. And then coming out of the third quarter, the Knicks completely went away from that and went 2 for 15 from 3-point range in the third quarter, missing 10 consecutive 3-point shots. Now, Jalen Brunson has come out and said that it's his fault they lost that game because he went 0 for 7 from 3-point range. But good heavens, stop shooting the 3-point basket and go to the line. You can't tell me that Miami just completely shut down the paint in that game. So I think you're going to see the Knicks go back to the well, so to speak, and start attacking the rim and stop just relying on the three-point shot in game 2. And if you look, they don't really know what to think about Jimmy Butler, as the Knicks are favored by 6.5 in game 2 right now.
Yeah, that line opened at 5.5. I've seen it jump up as high as 7 at some books. I think they're expecting Butler not to play. The method of thought is probably, and we're not in the Miami locker room, we're not in their training room, whatever, is look, they needed to go to New York and get one of the first 2 games, right? They did that. They now have reclaimed home court advantage. So maybe rest Butler in game 2. If you take a loss there, no problem. You're still going back to Miami 1-1. And if you have a healthier Butler for longer in the series, then that would be more beneficial than trying to crank him out there in game 2. Again, I'm just guessing, but when you look at that line movement, a 1.5 point line movement towards a team that didn't look particularly good yesterday and lost game 1, it tells me that the sharp money thinks that he's not going to play. Now, if he doesn't play in game 2, listen, you know the theory, all right? Team loses its star player. You hit that over and you look at that underdog. Would you be tempted to jump in on the Heat in game 2 with, let's say, 7? And I think if he gets announced out, I think that number will go even higher. I think it'll get up in that 7.5, 8-point range, especially if Randall comes back. That could supercharge it. You know that the Knicks are a very public team, and a lot of people are going to want to jump in on them anyway. Could you be persuaded to jump on the Jimmy Butler-less Heat, or is that going to be a stay away for you?
It's tough. It really is, because I don't necessarily think Miami played fantastic against the Knicks. When Miami came back in that game, gosh, it looked like a junior varsity basketball game. The Knicks are chucking up 3-point shots, and the Heat got 3 or 4 straight breakout layups at the other end, uncontested breakout layups. Now, it's interesting because the Heat are actually 12-5 against the spread in their last 17 games in New York, and the under is actually 21-6 in the last 27 meetings between these two teams in New York. So I could lean the Heat a little bit, but gosh, the under is a cash cow between these two teams in New York. And if it wasn't for RJ Barrett making a pointless layup at the end of game 1, the under would have hit again, because we had 209, so we pushed. I know other teams, obviously, other people on the other side of that. If Butler doesn't play, I believe that number is going to go up to 7.5. I think it's going to go right through 7, get up to 7.5. And I would go towards your over theory. When the star is out, I would take the over, but there's no way I would take the Heat. I just think that the Garden is going to be insane. The Knicks are 4-0 against the spread in their last 4 games, coming off an against the spread loss. I would take the Knicks. I think the series is going to be 2-2 after the 2 games in Miami. So I think the Knicks win one.
I don't know if I trust the Knicks to cover a big number like that.
Right.
Honestly, Jimmy Butler has carried the Heat to this point, and they are on a heater right now, right? And if you're looking at these 2 teams and trying to project out the 7-game series, that's really the difference, right? Is that the Heat have Jimmy Butler, and the Knicks don't have a guy like that. They don't have, like, Jalen Brunson isn't there yet. You know, Julius Randle hasn't been that guy in the playoffs in the ways that he's been able to be in the regular season. So that number keeps creeping up. I don't think I trust the Knicks to cover that number. But again, interestingly enough, the spread has moved almost 2 points already based on Butler's ankle, but that total only came down a little bit, only came down a couple of points. I'll be interested to see if that creeps down towards 203.5, 204, something like that if he gets out. But I mean, I think I'm going to be on the over in that game regardless. So, okay.
10-1. 10-1 in the last 11 Heat games when playing on a day's rest. So give Miami a little bit of rest, and they go over that total.
Give Jimmy Butler a little bit of a rest, and then everybody else can just start jacking threes and let things go as they may. Okay, the other game Tuesday night, Lakers-Warriors. Got to be excited about this just from a basketball perspective, right? LeBron versus Steph Curry and kind of the twilight of their career. You know, Golden State was on the ropes. Game 7 on the road, where they have been pathetic this year. They got that second road win in that series, something that a lot of people didn't think they were going to be able to do against Sacramento. Now they're facing the Lakers, and I don't know. Am I crazy to look at this from just like a handicapping perspective? And I see a lot of the same deficiencies with Golden State that I saw with Memphis, right? The Lakers should be able to get whatever they want going towards the basket. They should dominate the interior in a way that Sacramento just wasn't physically capable of doing. And I just don't think that there's much that Golden State is going to be able to do to keep LeBron, Anthony Davis, Hachimura out of the paint area. So it seems like big matchup advantage for the Lakers. But on the other hand, like, why bet against the Warriors in the playoffs, right? Like, after these last 2 years, are we nuts to bet against them? Where do you come down on this?
I mean, it couldn't have worked out more perfect for Golden State. We talked about this in our last video, actually, before we knew who was going to win what games. And we said, if Golden State can win and the Lakers can win, now suddenly, Golden State has that home court advantage, which they needed because they're fantastic at home. When it comes to the Lakers, I feel like this is the matchup that Golden State did not want to see. And I agree with you wholeheartedly that the Lakers are big. They are big. They're physical. They play big when they need to. They obviously know how to play in the playoffs. And the Lakers, for what seems like the first time in a while, they made the right moves at the trade deadline. The guys that they got are really starting to come together. Their cohesiveness is outstanding right now. Overall, for the entire series, I think I would lean LA. I really do. This first game is interesting. It really is. I think I would lean the Lakers plus the 4.5 points in this first game. And then I might lean Golden State in game 2, but I believe I'll be on the Lakers. They're 5-2 against the spread in their last 7 meetings with the Warriors. I like the Lakers, and I actually like the under in game 1 as well.
Yeah, you have to wonder if there's going to be a little bit of an emotional hangover for the Warriors after coming out of that big 7-game series that they were just involved in. They lost their last home game, got blown out actually by the Kings in a game that everyone just assumed that they were going to win and close out that series. So they're not indestructible on their home court. I think I'm kind of with you. Like I said, I look at this number and I look at this matchup and I just see a lot of similarities to that Grizzlies series. And you're talking about the Lakers getting points against a team in a letdown situation. And, going back to what you were talking about before with the Lakers and how they've been able to support LeBron. I mean, look, you just look at some of the schlubs that he had on some of those Cleveland Cavalier teams that he dragged. It doesn't take a lot, man. Like, it's not rocket science.
No.
Just some competent NBA caliber athletes around him, and he will do the rest. And he kind of has that now. But this is another one of those series that I'm going to be rooting for whoever I have my money on, right? But I'm also going to be rooting for 7 games in this one because like LeBron and stuff at the twilight of their career, we may never see anything like this again. So we should definitely savor it. Now,
agreed.
We talk about the advantage that the Lakers have in the series against the Warriors because of their size. The one team in the West that I think would physically stand up to them and is more talented than them is Denver. Right? Like, I think if the Lakers ended up playing the Suns, I think that they would roll through them a little bit because just too big, too strong. But right now, Denver looks good, man. They look every bit the part of Western Conference champion. And, moving into game 2 of that series, you got to be a little worried if you're the Suns and you shot over 50% in game 1 and you still got run out of the gym. Is there any reason to think that game 2 in that Phoenix-Denver series is going to go any differently than the first game did?
I have to admit, I was wrong. I think it was our very first video we talked about Denver, and I just said that I'm not high on Denver. It's odd. I'm not a Jamal Murray guy, and every time he suits up, he makes me look like an absolute fool because he is just playing so well. I saw him play in the bubble Murray. Everybody was talking about how good he was in the bubble. And I was like, yeah, he's an NBA player. He doesn't have to go anywhere. He's playing on the same floor every night. I was good in high school too in my home gym, but he just makes me look dumb every time he plays now because he is fantastic. And Denver is playing better and better and better. But you know what? I like to stick to my guns. And I'm on Phoenix tonight. I'm on Phoenix plus the points tonight. I think Phoenix wins this game too. I really do. I think that I took Denver in game 1. I was all about Denver in game 1. I think Phoenix needed a game to get prepped for Denver. And listen, all the trends are against me. The Suns are 0-4 against the spread in their last 4 meetings with Denver, but they're 5-2 against the spread in their last 7 in Denver. I like Phoenix. I like Durant. I like Booker to have a big game today, and I like Phoenix to win this game. If Denver wins the series 4-1, it's because Phoenix wins this game tonight.
I love how you say that, how you like to stick to your guns. That's just like a really nice way of explaining to everyone watching here that you're one of the most stubborn human beings I've ever met in my life. That's basically it, is you just don't want to admit that you're wrong. And I think you're dead wrong. 5 games. I think this series goes 5 games. I think Denver blows them off the floor again tonight. I think Denver wins game 3. I think that this is when I look at this Suns team, I see an emotionally and mentally fragile team. I think they've been emotionally and mentally fragile for like the past year. There have been issues in that locker room. I think guys like DeAndre Ayton, Kevin Durant, I think they're just looking for a reason to kind of fold up the tents, take their ball and go home. I have not liked the vibe around this team, like basically for the last 12 months. And I think Denver is I was with you coming into the playoffs. I thought they were kind of a soft number 1, especially compared to what we had out in the East. But the more you see them play and the more you see Jamal Murray be that dude, the easier it is to see them making the finals. I still don't think they're going to win if they get to the finals. But then again, I also didn't think some of the teams that, were going to bow, like Milwaukee wasn't going to bow out as early. So things are kind of opening up for the Nuggets here. No, I like the Nuggets to continue to roll. I'm definitely going to be interested to see what happens to the number when they go to Phoenix with a 2-0 lead. If they do, okay, what's that number going to be? I think there's going to be a lot of value on Denver in game 3. As I always told you, you take the team that you think is going to win the series in game 2 and game 3. I just don't like the Suns team. And right now, I'm kind of mad at myself that I didn't jump on Denver now. But however,
right,
that's because so much of my focus has been on my 7-unit play for Monday in the Sixers Boston game. All right. And look, it's been like the theme of the playoffs, right? Like superstars just getting mutilated and not being able to play. Like, here we are again, Joel Embiid. Like, this is the series we've been waiting for, man. Like, Sixers at full strength, Boston at full strength, old school rivalry. Probably the 2 best, and for my money, the 2 best teams outside of Denver still left playing right now. And then James Harden, slaps somebody in Vegas, and Joel Embiid is hurt. Now this number is up near 10. Like, what is going on with the Sixers-Celtics game 1?
Yeah, this is a monster number, just a huge number. And Joel Embiid is killing me because they're about to announce he's going to be the MVP, and now he's just not playing. It's brutal what's happening to all these superstars. Something to think about is the Philadelphia 76ers are 11-5 straight up without Embiid this year, and they're averaging almost 119 points a game when Embiid doesn't play. Now, think about that. The ball moves a lot when Embiid's not there. Obviously, you have a guy that's averaging 30 points a game, but it slows the system right down. It slows down what's happening, and you see guys do other things. Something to keep in mind in this series overall, whether Embiid's playing or not, is the Philadelphia 76ers rebound the basketball well, and they get a lot of second chance opportunities. That was a huge Achilles heel for the Celtics in that Hawks series. The Hawks got life. Well, because Trae Young was going off for 30 because he's awesome and you don't like him. But the Hawks got life because they rebounded the ball well, and Boston just didn't. They, as a group, they didn't, protect their basket when it came to limiting second chance opportunities. And Philly is kind of relentless when it comes to going after the basketball, similar to the way the Knicks have been playing. So I actually like Philly plus these points without Embiid here. I think you're going to see a live dog here. I think Boston is going to take it for granted a bit that Embiid's not playing. So I like the 76ers for the fact that they're going to get a lot of easy second chance points when Boston doesn't protect the rim the way they're supposed to.
You did it again, right? Like you just pulled up my write-up for my play for today, because a lot of those same numbers I had to justify my 7-unit play. I'm gonna try not to tip my hand here on whether it was a side or the total, but I will say that I agreed with a lot that you said. Like, they have played without Joel Embiid a fair amount this year. They played without him for 16 games. They understand he's been injured in seasons past. James Harden, Tobias Harris, like these are all-star caliber players still that know how to take over a game without Embiid. Now, Philadelphia was the number 1 3-point shooting team in the NBA. A lot of that is because of the double teams that Embiid draws lead to a lot of open shots. Bottom line is, these guys can still put the ball in the hole without him.
Yeah.
And like to your point, they have a lot more heart, a lot more drive, a lot more experience than that Atlanta team did. Now, the question becomes, Boston offensively, they averaged over 121 points a game in that series against Atlanta. They looked like the team that back in November, December, early January was just running roughshod over people in the NBA. Their metrics are off the charts right now. So I think it's going to be a little bit more about, can Philadelphia slow down Boston and kind of the mojo that they have offensively right now, versus whether or not they can score enough to keep up with them. But what's your take? We got to assume Embiid is coming back. Okay. Whether it's game 2, game 3, what is your take with both of these teams soon to be at full strength? Let's assume Boston does win game 1. Okay. Do you see, Boston just the ball rolling downhill and them rolling over the Sixers, who haven't been able to get out of this round? Do you see a 7-game series? Like, what do you kind of project out a little bit over these next 4 or 5 games?
Boston is a heavy favorite when it comes to this series and the Eastern Conference champs. They are a really big favorite because I've tried to look for some value, on some series plays, but you're going to be laying a lot of money on the Celtics to win, not only this series, but the Eastern Conference Finals. So that worries me a bit about Embiid. We all wonder, where is he? When's he coming back? Somebody must, some doctor somewhere must know something a lot more than we do when Boston's laying this kind of juice to win this series and win the Eastern Conference Finals. And then there's something else too, and people can disagree with me out there. I think Doc Rivers is an absolute loser. He is a loser. He has been handed the keys to the proverbial kingdom with so many teams, and he just, like, come on, Doc Rivers. He's like Phil Jackson with all the stuff he's given, but Jackson won some games. I mean, the guys that he had at the Clippers, the guys that he had with the Celtics, the guys that he has here in Philadelphia, he's had so many fantastic teams. Let's be honest, Philly was supposed to cakewalk through the Hawks a couple of years ago, and Atlanta won that series 4-1. Doc Rivers will get out-coached and overmatched yet again, and don't be surprised even a healthy 76ers team to lose this series 4-1 because he is a bum.
Listen, there you have it, folks. He is Nolan Patrick of Strike Point Sports. I am Robert Ferringo. We are both of Doc Sports, docsports.com. Be sure to check back Wednesday for our next NBA video extravaganza. And in the meantime, get over to docsports.com, hop on board for baseball, hockey, soccer, NBA action. Obviously, Kentucky Derby is this weekend. It's still a great time to be betting on sports, and we'd love to have you on board. Nolan, thank you as always. And to everyone else, carpe diem and good luck.